All right. We are back for another episode of A Slice of Golf. As always, Ben and Timbo. Ben, looking slightly different this week. I know the podcast, people listening on the podcast can't see you, but if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see a slightly different looking Ben today. Ben, what's happened this week?
I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't wait. The thought of waiting another 6 weeks to get my hair cut, I just couldn't stomach it.
So you've done this yourself, or you've let someone else add your hair there?
Yeah, I know. So my mum used to cut our hair when we were must have been 7 or 8. It turns out the clippers, although ancient, were still around. So I was like, "God, just get rid of it." So I've kind of figured 6 weeks it will grow out between now and the next haircut. But I look like a skinhead at the moment. It's nice, but it's a bit cold.
It's not as receding as I kind of hoped it was going to be.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying, this is what I said when I said to someone at the weekend. They said, "Why are you doing it?" I said, "Well, I want to see what I'm working with now. I got to get a good picture as what the situation is." So, no, I'm happy. I was thrilled. Saw it in the mirror and I was like, "Hallelujah! We got a bit. At least we got a couple of years of hair left."
This is what it turns to when we can't play golf. You're cutting your own hair. You're worrying about your receding hairline. This is what happens after week whatever we're in of lockdown, not being able to play golf. This is what happens. Anything else exciting happen in your week then? Anything we should know? Anything of note?
Nah, I mean, put together some furniture, but I mean that's about it. That's quite exciting for life at the moment, to be fair. So, needless to say, watched a lot of golf. Lost all of Saturday putting together all the furniture, but watched an awful lot of golf. So I know we're jumping into that. So I won't start.
It is a golf podcast, so yeah, we'll probably be talking about some of that. Yeah, Timbo, anything of note from your week?
I'm the other side to Ben, and I'm conducting a follicle experiment to see how long my barnet can get in the next sort of 6 weeks. I reckon I've probably hit about 100 putts in the last week.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Putt out has had a lot of action. I'm considering getting the foam balls out again now that the ground's getting a little bit firmer, and just with the announcement last week that first round post-lockdown is now looming on the horizon in about 4 weeks' time. We've actually brilliantly, between the three of us, I believe we've got our first round penciled in for 9th of April. We'll try and get something in before then as well. But good to know we've definitely got one penciled in already. So I think it's time to actually start swinging a golf club, which I've not done in about 4 weeks. So that's going to be interesting.
Well, let's go here now, right? I know we're going to go to this later, but let's go here now. We're talking about it. The announcement has happened. Golf courses are allowed to open on the 29th of March. And I believe, this is in England, by the way, and I believe with 4 balls.
Correct.
Is the sound of it, which is interesting. Do you know the thing that worries me the most? Driving ranges don't open for another 2 weeks after. So this is...
I did not know that.
Is that wrong? Tim's saying that's wrong.
I believe they all open at the same time. Outdoor driving ranges are open from 29th as well.
Interesting. Okay, I had it down as a couple of weeks later. Okay, interesting. I really hope.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry, Chris. Yes, it's definitely open 2 weeks after the 29th. Don't go to a driving range.
Okay, I'm really hoping that I'm wrong there. I'm really hoping that Tim is right. But it still worries me that, okay, in that case, I will be able to get to the range before our first round. So that immediately makes me feel better about that. Okay, great, perfect. So, Tim, you're going to get out the foam balls and start just going to the park and hitting the foam balls around? Is that what you do?
Well, yeah, because the park that's next to where I live is actually fortunate enough that there's quite a big collection of AstroTurf strips for cricket. Which outside of the summer months, obviously get next to zero usage, apart from on weekends where a lot of people do training and whatever on them. So I'm thinking if I go early in the morning, incorporate it into a bit of a routine, it's not terrible weather anymore. It's not you're not walking through a quagmire to get to them in the park anymore. Maybe just add that back into the routine. I just to be honest, it's just the feeling and the sensation of being able to swing a golf club and connect with something that I think I'm just crying out for.
I was on a walk the other day and walked past a park, and there was a dad and his young daughter, and she was swinging a golf club and hitting some balls. And I did think to myself, would it be socially acceptable for me to go back and get my bag and go out in the park and just hit? And I came to the conclusion that it probably wouldn't be. So it's interesting that you think it is okay. So I'm now feeling that maybe I can get it.
With how far you hit it, mate, I wouldn't worry so much.
Yeah, correct, right?
You're fine. Whack away.
And go get some of those air balls, and then I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So Tim, you've got putt out, lots of putts being hit. Need to get back on that for sure. New putting grip? No new putting grip.
No, I'm actually no.
Not inspired by Colin Morikawa with the saw.
No. Sticking with it. I'm actually genuinely feeling like I'm getting quite dialed in with my putting. Actually,
anything 6 feet in straight and level.
Yeah, nailed it. You know what I did actually? Am I going to tell you about this? Yeah, I am going to tell you about this. I was cooking last night, and it was one of those. I was cooking a roast, so I had sort of 20 minutes between bits of things to do because just managing the timing and whatnot. And I thought, I kind of need to be monitoring stuff in the kitchen, but it's also kind of like 20 minutes of dead time. So I thought, I'd really like just to fill this time with putting, but obviously can't really do that on a kitchen tiled floor. That's pointless. So I'll be honest with you, I went and nicked the yoga mat, put it down on the kitchen floor, and used that as my putting surface.
Perfect.
In the middle of the kitchen.
Quite quick.
Very quick. Very quick. Yeah, it's similar to some of the greens we've seen on the PGA for the last couple of weeks.
yeah. Get the old stimp meter reading out. Yeah. Ben, how are you feeling with the lead up to now that we've had the announcement for golf? Anything that you're thinking about? Anything that you're doing?
Shocking, terrible. I mean, I've got my super speed swing sticks. They're on the way because I need those for. Yeah.
When did this happen?
When did this happen?
This was a recent purchase because.
Is this the Steve podcast last week?
Well, two of you at the same time. Chris, go. What did you say?
I said, was this because of the Steve podcast last week?
Partly, but I also I've had it in my mind to get them anyway, and I was going to wait until the gym was back open again, so then I can just get them delivered there and start working with them with clients. But listened to another podcast the other day, and they had the super speed guys on there. There was a discount code, so I was like, right, well, now it just makes sense to get them now. So long term, good. First round back, probably bad, because we're going to be like 3 weeks into me using them, and you know what it's like when you're trying to bring up some speed. Typically means it's a little bit more wayward. It's already going to be wayward enough. It might just crank it up to level 10. Then we'll also throw in a spanner into the mix. At some point this year, I do want to get a new putter. So I've been hitting some putts with my brother's putter because he's got a mallet head. I don't. And it's been excellent. It feels really, really good. I'm like, this feels way more stable. The problem is, it's my brother's putter. It's not mine. I can't take it to the golf course. So when we go and play, I'm going to be using a putter that, I'm getting the excuses in earlier. I'm just saying.
Okay.
However, one thing that's the reason I'm a bit excited about you getting the speed sticks, if I could share my screen right now, at least 3 of the tabs that I have opened are to do with the speed sticks. And one of them is hovering over the buy now button. So after Ben, you can share whatever that discount code is with me, and I will possibly be purchasing those as well. That sounds very good. Yeah, I'm delighted.
It won't be long before Tim joins us, I think. If he knows that you've got some.
Yeah, I'm thinking I can't be left out of the club.
And for me, part of it, I know Steve mentioned them on the podcast last week. If you're listening to this thinking, what on earth were we talking about last week? We had a podcast with Steve Furlong all about speeding up your swing and the myths that are around that actually slow your swing down. So if you haven't listened to that, make sure that you go back and listen to that for sure. So I have had that on there. I've also got a tab open with some kettlebells ready to be purchased as well, because I just feel like I'm not going to go back to the actual gym, and I should just buy some kettlebells and stop pretending that giving myself excuses for not doing anything. So yeah,
nice.
All very much inspired by last week, to be honest with you. So for sure. Tim, anything that you're worried about? Anything that you're apprehensive about when going back?
What about when we start playing golf again? Everything. Where the ball's going to go. No, it's an interesting one because I think I was definitely pulling my pants a little bit the first time we came out of lockdown, and we'd been through whatever it was. I felt like that first lockdown felt like it was like months and months and months. But then you kind of realise, you know what, I've played for a few years. You know, you don't completely forget just how to swing a golf club. Obviously, it's going to be pretty rough and ropey those first couple of rounds back, but you know, you sort of you set yourself up for that in your head, don't you? You as long as you're not thinking you to go out and blaze 36 Stableford points on your first round back, you're probably going to be okay. But it's one of those you control what you can control, and to be honest, the other side of it is it's just going to be really, really nice just to be out on the golf course again, because aside from the competitive elements and the wanting to play well, just the idea of being able to get out and actually be out for 4 hours with your buddies out on the golf course, or having kind of that spare time to yourself to go to driving range sort of thing. I'm just looking forward to getting that back, if I'm being honest. So all of that kind of outweighs all the apprehension I have about first tee shot. That will all go when I come to hitting that first tee shot, and I'll be bricking it. But we'll see.
All I wanted to do there was just go, ooh, golf friends. No, I totally agree with you though. I think it's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to just being out and actually being able to see people. You can actually talk to people. I think, and actually being out on the golf course is just going to be, it's just going to be great. I think for me, the biggest lesson from last time will just be, I think the biggest thing for me, lower my expectations will be short game, and instead of just trying to be Phil Mickelson, I'll just take like 8 iron wedges around the green, you know what I mean? Just like bump and runs everywhere rather than trying to be cute and flip little shots up. Kind of hoping Fowler goes the other way and starts thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go for the old flop shot here and thin one through the back of the green. No, I never wish that on someone. Never wish that on someone.
Now's as good a time as ever to start trying those shots, because we're on complete reset mode at the moment.
That's true.
Confidence,
exactly.
Very true.
Sky high,
That's very true. Cool, awesome. Like if you're listening and we're a few weeks out now from golf being allowed back in England. What are you worried about? What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to? What are you doing in between now and then to get ready for the season? The other thing that I absolutely have to do, I'm literally like getting up out of my office chair and like off the sofa, sounding like an old man. Like I'm like, making noises. I'm like, I need to do some mobility work ASAP. Like this is just terrible. So there's a lot that I need to do in 3 and 4 weeks. I've left it way too late. I should have been doing this at the start.
Yeah, got a year's worth of work to do in 4 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. There's a limit on what I can do. For sure, I've panicked. I've left it too late. That's classic though, Ben. You must see that all the time in your world with people going like, "I'm going on holiday in 2 weeks' time. Can I lose 3 stone?"
Always.
All right, let's dive into the world of the pros. We'll start with the WGC Workday Championship at Concession. By the way, did you hear about the interview? I haven't actually seen it, but the interview with Tyrrell Hatton when asked about why the course is called Concession.
I see he had virtually no answer for it. I was like, I don't know.
The journalist asked some question about, do you know why it's called Concession? How does that affect your play this year? At this tournament, does that have any? Are you inspired by that? And he's like, I'm going to be level with you. I've got no idea what it's about. The journalist then goes and there's like a 7-line explanation of what happened, and Tyrrell just goes, right.
Yeah.
Nothing. Journalist is like, thanks, yeah, great. I guess it's just fantastic. But Colin Morikawa, oh my word, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to unpack from the weekend's event. I know you both watched it because we've done the Fantasy League, which we'll come back to. No comment about what happened. Can we get away with that? Tim's like looking at me like,
no, we can't get away without mentioning that.
Tim, how did you do on Fantasy League this week? Just for everyone that hasn't.
Really well.
If you haven't listened to the Fantasy League podcast, Tim absolutely dominated. Just from start to finish, just unbelievable. 4 players. Was it 4 players inside the top 10 or something ludicrous?
There was one point where I think I had 4 players. There was definitely one point where I had 2 joint first. I believe, I had 4 players within the top 3 places at one point.
There was one moment you had 4 tied for second, and I was just like, "This is bonkers." Anyway, we've likely talked about that on the Fantasy League podcast, so we'll just move on swiftly on from that. Yeah. Tim, I'm going to start with you. What did you love about this weekend? Any talking moments for you?
I didn't really pay much attention to the actual, I say courses. I wasn't sort of, despite all the chatter about the name of the course and why it's called the course, I was just focusing completely on the players, to be honest, and not really getting too wrapped up in how they were playing. I think the big thing for me, even though Morikawa won, I'll come on to speak about him. To be honest, the big story from the weekend for me was Hovland, massively, because if you wanted a demonstration of what mentally tough is, look at what happened to Victor Hovland on the second day.
Yeah,
basically. For those who didn't see it, and to be honest, I might get some of this wrong, so I might defer to one of you guys to narrate how the whole went.
Yeah, poorly.
But yeah, other than really badly. Basically, for those who didn't see it, there was. I'm going to try and get this in order. The first poor shot was, I believe, his second shot.
Stop. Pause. Even here, he was 7 under at this point.
Yes, good point. Yeah, it was 7 under for the lead.
10 under, I think.
He has a bunker shot and he just absolutely thin tendos it, flies over the green, barely even touches the green, straight into the bush. The deep bush is behind the green. Goes over, finds the ball, hacks it out, flies out, across the green again, back into the bunker, wedged into the side of the bunker. This is kind of like our level of play that we're talking about. At this point, definitely should have just taken a sideways play out of the bunker, just kind of take the medicine thing. He went for it, tried to sort of dig down on the ball, get onto the green, caught it flush, pings back into the bushes again, then tried to chip onto the green, got too cute, didn't quite roll up, so came all the way back down the slope, picked back up again. That was a much better chip, then putted for a quadruple bogey. Anyway.
Yeah, by the way, that putt for the quad, it was still 8 feet. Like it was a really good putt for a quadruple bogey.
The most impressive stuff was all the way through that, there was not a single sign of frustration or devastation or disheartenment at all. He just after every single shot, he was either smiling or just looking like, okay,
yeah, what's next?
Move on, and then just marched on from that. Was literally in contention right up until his 15th, I would say, hole on the final day.
Also, just go back a little bit. That was the final hole of day 2, so he dropped 4 shots straight away at on going into day 3. He comes off that round. 3 minutes later, he's doing a post-round interview, and when they ask him, he's like, I made a mistake. I should have come out sideways out of the bunker. And you could see him just going, he's processed it already. He's understood what he should have done. He's learned, and he's gone, I've made a mistake. I can't dwell on it. Let's just move on and deal with what I can control. And then comes through, and I was just like, and I was like, how does he walk off? If that was anyone else, no one, lots of people wouldn't have done a post-round interview. I can guarantee it. If you just hit a quad on your final shot.
I watched that final round. I watched that interview immediately following and just thought that is the mentality of someone who's going to win a hell of a lot of golf tournaments.
I agree. I agree. Strong. No. Just super strong. I think he's just to have that mentality to come off, because I genuinely believe that a lot of players just wouldn't have done a post-round interview. They'd have been so angry, so furious. They've just gone straight off. And then he's got to sleep on that. The last thing he did was a quadruple bogey and then come back the next day. And yeah.
And I think I can't remember who the commentary team was at the time, but I think they said something brilliant. It was about, they were saying like, this game is not about not missing. It's about how well you recover your misses. And I just thought that's such a brilliant wrapping up statement that we can all relate to and take forward, because I immediately thought, apply that saying to my game, there's going to be a lot of misses. So I was kind of thinking, stop getting annoyed and beating yourself up where something doesn't go the way you want it to. Think about the next shot and how well you're going to recover. Because ultimately, I find like unless you're a single figure handicapper and you're scoring well, there will always be either a stretch of holes or at least one hole where you've really had to scramble and get yourself out of trouble, right? Yeah. So I think if you could take, every golfer could look at that and just sort of think, you know what, maybe getting really annoyed after I make a mistake probably isn't the way to go. So
the other thing, the other thing that I just want to throw in there is I genuinely believe Hovland will learn from that. Like, I genuinely believe if he finds himself in that situation again, he will do something different. Yep. Whereas if it was me, I'd find myself in that bunker in the same spot and I'd be like, no, you know what? Last time it didn't work. This time, I reckon I will.
The mental toughness he's clearly got is why he's just going to be a special player. And even from a selfish point of view, if you look forward to the Ryder Cup later this year, that's the kind of thing you're going to need, because it's going to be such a good American lineup.
Can you just imagine everything? Can you just imagine being against Hovland? You, as the American, drain a massive putt, and you just look up and see him smiling at you. You'd be like, "What the fuck, dude? You're supposed to be angry. Like, get angry."
Yeah. I'd even go as far as say, like, in a match play competition, he'd be a nightmare to play against, because nothing would rattle him.
Yeah, I don't think it would. I genuinely think it would.
You know, you look at someone like, and I'll come on to speak about Cameron Smith in a bit. Cameron Smith would definitely get wound up in a match play situation.
For sure. I agree. What else, Tim? I love that. A great review of Hovland. Anything else you wanted to add to that then?
I wanted to add on, because he did say Cameron Smith's name, and I'm pretty sure this is where you were going to go with it. First of all, great haircut. Loving it. Love the mullet. But dropping some very audible F-bombs on the golf course. Highly amusing. You know, Nick Doherty very quickly scrambled to apologise and then had to apologise again. But what a golfer. Again, just seems consistent. Just doesn't, you know, look at the Masters last year. He was up there, you know, and came second, was challenging the whole time. And again, put together another great tournament. Just fell short.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I was going to go with it, to be honest. You know, rocking the mullet, dropping F-bombs, not shy for some loud post-round interviews. Yeah, a bit of me, that Cameron Smith. It's definitely one to watch for the rest of this year. And then other than that, you had Horshaw looking really good, even when he had to take his shoes off and play one of his shots out of the horrendous muck on the side of the water.
Yeah, in a swamp. We'll go over swamp.
With crocodiles or alligators, or
with alligators that had been pictured in it only a matter of hours beforehand. I certainly wouldn't be turning my back to it, and wouldn't be taking a jump in there.
I'd send the caddy in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Morikawa. What can you say? I've spoken about him huge amounts on this podcast. I'm not going to go down my usual kind of reverence and being about more than I have already done. But I mean, if anyone needed proof that he's here to stay in a big way, and I think previously I've personally talked about him and Xander being sort of the next two that are really going to break through. I'm in the position now where I'm kind of cutting that to one. I think he's going to be a different kettle of fish to Xander. I think he's on for something very special.
Did you see the stat about the only players to have won both a major and a WGC before they're 25?
Yeah.
Him and Tiger, innit?
Only him and Tiger. Yeah. And I mean, I'm fully aware that Tiger had won still a ton more trophies. But I still think that puts you in a very special category, doesn't it? And a bit like Hovland in terms of, I think Colin Morikawa has obviously just got 2 much bigger wins under his belt, but I think just the maturity level that he shows and the composure and just the all-round, let's call it mental toughness, grit, whatever you want to call it, I just think shines through with him.
Well, I think it says a lot about him. Like, as soon as I switched on and Morikawa teed off, I think he had a wobble around 4 or 5. But after that, the whole time, I was just watching him thinking, he's going to win the tournament. I just couldn't see anyone else winning it. I think that says a lot about the state of his game. And this is a guy who had just put a new putting grip into his game. So imagine what it's going to be like once he gets used to this new putting grip. And I know this is the reason why I messaged you both about it earlier on today, is I know it's very easy to get wrapped up in it, in the emotion of a tournament that's just finished. But I think only one of us picked Morikawa to win a major this year. And I instantly thought of it and I was like, slightly regretting that decision now, because of how he, you know, it was as strong a field as you can imagine this weekend. And he won it at a canter. He looked comfortable the whole time.
Yeah. obviously, the only other thing that I wanted to really bring up is we didn't get to mention it last week. I think we were recording it when the news kind of broke out about Tiger and his crash last week. Obviously, we all are pleased to hear that Tiger is, well, I say okay, but in recovery and on the mend. And obviously a nice gesture this weekend with players deciding to wear black and red on Sunday. Sunday red, totally nothing to do with what Sunday red is called Sunday red for. Lying nose here. But a really nice touch. But social media has kind of blown up. Like social media has kind of gone really, really quite in 2 or 3 different ways. Lots of people absolutely loving it. Lots of I do find this quite amusing. Lots of the posts that you read, if you didn't know that he was okay, you would assume Tiger was dead. Yeah. Like the way that people were talking, I'm a bit like, you do know he's still alive, right? Like I'm like, he is recovering, he's alive. And then there's also people having goes at players who didn't wear red on Sunday, and I was a bit like, there's a lot of things that go into this, right? Like, i.e., they've all got sponsors that pay them to wear certain clothing, and they've all been sent their clothes that they're going to wear for those 4 days. I can't imagine it's as simple as, I'm just going to pop to the shop and buy a red polo to wear on Sunday. Sorry, brand X. I don't think it's that simple. But I just wondered if you two had seen any of that, what your thoughts on it were, and how you felt about it.
I think that's just the state of social media, isn't it? There's just a lot of very, very delicate snowflakes out there that get all upset and butthurt around the most pointless, pathetic things.
Yeah.
Like he's, like you said, he had a car crash. Terrible. But it could have been a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it right. And, I thought it was cool that they were wearing red, but anyone who chose not to or didn't have access to it wasn't allowed to because the sponsor wouldn't allow them. What on earth are you doing having a go at those players for? It was a nice touch, but does it matter? No, not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Fine.
Nothing really to add to that. Yeah, it was a nice touch from the guys that did it. The guys that didn't do it doesn't mean a thing to me. Doesn't no bother to me whatsoever. And as Ben says, it's just a state of the trolls you unfortunately get on social media, and any opportunity for them to have a pop at anyone, they're going to do it. I mean, there's been enough horrible news about social media trolling across a wide variety of sports this weekend. Outside of golf, there's been female reporters getting all kinds of torrents of abuse around rugby. There's been rugby players having death threats on social media this weekend. Premier League players with every single bet. You almost hear every other match that goes on. There's horrible stuff goes on. So it's just some very sad, ignorant people out there on social media. Is my view of it.
Yeah. There was even a couple of tweets. This is all on Twitter. Honestly, most of it happens on Twitter. Like I go onto a lot of Twitter, and I'm just like, this is a horrible place. Like, why can't people just be nice? Someone was moaning that JT's top wasn't red enough. I was like, this is getting ridiculous. You're a bit like, don't respond. And I find myself typing, and then I'm like, no, delete. Don't get dragged into this. This is going to be a horrible place to be. There's no winning in this.
The thing is, as well, is I reckon Tiger was probably lying there and probably thought, oh yeah, that's nice. Thanks. Yeah. Like he was cool. And anyone who he's friends with who wasn't wearing red, he's not going to hold it against them.
No.
Brilliant.
How dare you not wear red to support me? Yeah, bonkers. Anything else from the weekend that you guys wanted to mention?
Just kind of something, again, just another excellent tournament. And I absolutely love watching him play. But I would enjoy it a lot more if he wasn't such a shithouse, and that's Patrick Reed. I mean, he was just playing some excellent shots. And when they're coming back to the Sky Sports studio and they're reviewing his chip shots, just the way they talk about it, and they do the slow-mo of just the shots that he's making around the green. Just such a talented bloke. Just wish he was a better bloke. I would like him even more.
You've got to have, in any sport, anything you do, there's always going to be a pantomime villain, right?
Yeah.
Of course. Awesome. And then, so we had a couple of other tournaments that are going on, of which, I'm going to be honest, I've paid zero attention to either of the Puerto Rico Open, which was a second PGA event happening the same week, won by Brandon Grace, which I can't give anything away yet because there's a stat in there that might come up later. And did either of you two watch any of the highlights from that? Did you get to see any of that? Because I've watched none of it.
None. I saw his post tournament interview because I know he lost his dad to COVID, so I know he was emotional about that, and made an eagle on 17. And I thought that was pretty cool, but I didn't watch any of the actual play.
No, fair. And then the LPGA Gamebridge, two very quite cool things happening here. The Corder sisters are just ridiculous, aren't they? Nelly Corder coming out with the win this week. Jessica Corder won when we were talking about her winning not that long ago, were we? So it can't have been that long ago. Just ridiculous. And whenever you see the interaction between the two of them, it's uber competitive, i.e., I don't care about beating anyone else. I just want to make sure I finish above my sister on the leaderboard, which I think is hilarious. But just all around like good personalities, good environment to be in. So I think that's great. But again, I regret to say I've got nothing to report on that because I didn't really watch any of it. The only other interesting thing super interesting, quite incredible stat to look at is Annika Sorenstam back. And I know you both know this stat. Either of you, who wants to share it? Ben, would you like to share the stat?
No.
Tim's going to share it. Tim, go on.
Okay. So Annika Sorenstam's sort of final couple of rounds won't be her greatest, but this is her first start since 2008. Okay, so making the cut anyway in your first round since 2008 is impressive. When you find out how many cuts she's made, it starts getting a bit ridiculous, quite frankly, because she's played in her career 307 events. Okay. She's made the cut on 298 of them, which is a 97. That's 97.1% cuts made, which is ridiculous.
What percentage?
97.1.
97.1%.
Just we all know how difficult golf is to be consistent at. It shows how good she is because even on her bad days when she's not at her most consistent, she's still better than at least 50% of the players in that golf tournament. That's ridiculous.
That's so close to perfect. It's unreal.
Yeah.
That is. I find it hard to actually even imagine. Do you know what I mean? It's just a nut stat. Stat.
I'm actually having trouble kind of processing it or kind of.
Is there anything else in sport? Anyone else that is that level of consistency? I'd even go, the All Blacks are the most dominant rugby, the most successful. They have the highest win ratio, right? But they don't play 307 times over the last however many. They just, and it's not 97% win rate. Do you know what I mean? I know we're not talking wins. I know we're only talking making the cut. But is there anything else in sport that even gets close to that?
We'd be interested to see a direct comparison, her and Tiger, because we talk about how dominant Tiger was on the male side.
That is something that we should have planned and done before the to actually have that.
On the context point, if you want to talk about, Chris makes a really good point about the All Blacks rugby team. Widely revered as the most winningest team in sports history ever. Their win percent is 77%.
Crikey!
I mean, that's unbelievable, isn't it?
So you put that up to Annika making 97% of cuts. Just staggering number.
Unbelievable.
That means getting paid some serious cash.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not in the LPGA. They need to improve that, don't they?
Yeah,
they do.
For sure. Okay, cool. You've made a really nice segue here, Ben. I don't know if you've looked at my notes, but moving on to the next subject, we are going to talk money. We're going to talk golf prize money. We're going to talk career earnings. Now, there was a post made this week that I saw. Matty Wolff, even though he dropped out on day one.
Can we? Sorry.
I can't believe we haven't brought this up already, by the way.
Firstly, I apologise for saying that with a laugh because golf is hard. But Matty Wolff had one of the toughest days I can ever recall seeing a golfer have on the Thursday.
And really well televised. Normally, if someone's having a shocker, they just don't televise them. He got the full television experience.
I think that just shows how good he's been the past 2 years. The fact that he's money enough to for the broadcasters to showcase his meltdown. Sorry, Tim.
Again, for anyone that missed it, there was the crowning. I think he finished on. I think he was around plus 10 or plus. He was definitely he was plus 11 at one point in his round.
Yeah.
On the first day, I think he pulled a couple back. So I think he finished either 10 over or 9 over. But the coup de grace, if you will, of his round on the Thursday came actually on the putting green where he was practicing.
Completely forgot.
He was practicing his putting rhythm and basically was standing way too close to his ball and proceeded to, I can only describe as basically hit his golf ball at a right angle away from him. Sorry, straight away from him at a right angle away from the hole. Actually, frankly, quite impressive.
It's the same as Zach Johnson when he did it on, was it at the Masters a few years ago? You're just like, why are you? What you don't need? You can practice swing, 50 yards away from the ball. You don't need to be.
But what makes me laugh is the ruling. He was allowed to replace that, right?
Mm.
And what makes me laugh is the amount of horseshit rules that there are around in golf, where you brush a leaf with your backswing in a practice swing, that's a 2-shot or a 1-shot penalty. And yet I can physically move the ball accidentally on the green, and that's fine. Just move it back. I don't. This is where I get to golf rules. I'm just like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why are you making this so?
To be fair, I agree with that rule. I don't
disagree with the rule.
Pretty much every other rule.
I don't disagree with the rule. Yeah. What I'm saying is, why does he just get to replace it there? But it happens anywhere else, and it's you being penalised for it. So just. Yeah, the golf rules. Anyway, even with dropping out on withdrawing on day one for unknown reasons, you played shit. He wasn't going to play any. He didn't feel like he was going to play any better. He still got his prize money, which is because the WGC events, they basically say if you've earned your place there, so the prize money, everyone gets prize money, and because you're performing up until now, that's basically what they.
I had a look about this because I saw a little article about it. Someone a few years ago had broken his ankle or something, but all he had to do was take his first tee shot. So as long as you take your tee shot, he basically, at that time, he took his tee shot, walked straight to the clubhouse, and that was it for his day. So,
whereas Cantlay withdrew 3 seconds before his first tee shot. Was it Cantlay? I think it was Cantlay. And he, although would still get his prize money, what's normally done is it's then given to charity of that person's choice.
Yeah,
nice.
Which I thought was a nice touch. But anyway, with the withdrawal, he still overtook Jack Nicklaus in career earnings.
Yeah.
Which brings him to a grand total of $5.75 million made in his relatively short career. What has he been a pro for? A year and a half now? 2 years nearly, maybe?
This is just tournament winnings as well, right?
Tournament winnings, career earnings.
Yes.
Yeah. And just on PGA as well. So, and as of this weekend, there are now 200 players that have crossed the 10 million mark in career earnings on the PGA Tour. Want to take a guess of who they are? Might have given one of them away earlier. Want to take a guess of who they now are? The 2 most recent into that field.
Oh, I thought you were saying 200.
Oh,
wow.
Tell me the 200. 2 players this weekend, both crossed over 10 million in career earnings on the PGA Tour.
Oh, that is a good question. 10 million.
Just get the leaderboard up.
So we're saying, okay. So we're saying Matty Wolff be pro for. I'm just going to say my thinking out loud. If it's
go for it.
Right. So Matty Wolff, we're saying has. Sorry, he'd be past 10 million, right?
Who?
Matty Wolff.
Matt Wolff is at 5.75 million.
Right. Okay.
To give you perspective.
Okay, so we're saying he's been pro for
2 years.
2 years. So really a sort of a similar-ish stature golfer that's been pro for about 4 or 5 years is going to be up there or thereabouts.
Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Good answer. I'm pretty sure he's already in the top 200.
Yeah,
Tyrrell Hatton.
this weekend.
Tyrrell Hatton is definitely already up there.
Oh, right,
Actually, I don't know that for a fact. Actually, I don't know that for a fact because they've been European Tour players. This is PGA Tour earnings.
crikey.
But keep going with your English route.
Tommy Fleetwood.
Tommy Fleetwood. He was a grand total of $765 short before the weekend. He earned a grand total of $47,500, moving him well up into the 10 million range.
North of 10 million. Oh, I mean, fair play to Tommy.
PGA Tour earnings as well. And the second guy we've already spoken about today, he won at the Puerto Rico Open. That is Brandon Grace. He was $448,000 short. He earned $540K with his win and moved him into spot 200 of the 10 million earnings on the PGA Tour.
10 million.
Next question, follow-on question. Who do you think is most likely? It's difficult to say, but there is. This is difficult for you to guess. I was going to ask you, who do you think is most likely to cross the line? And there's like a whole bunch of people that are really, really close, but are now like 60 and unlikely to ever like play. There's someone in 209th,
okay,
who's about 500K out.
Okay.
Shall I just tell you? I feel like this is too difficult for you to guess because I can't give you too much of the leaderboard and you'll get it straight away.
Abraham.
Say that again.
Abraham Answer.
No, go someone we've already spoken about today.
Oh. Cam Smith.
No.
Billy Horschel.
No.
He won the FedEx, didn't he?
I was going to say he must be in there. Who else have we spoken about? Victor must be past it.
No, Victor's on. I think he's on about 6, 7.
What's we spoken about?
No.
Colin Morikawa is on $9.5 million in his 2-year career on PGA Tour earnings already. He is 500K off being the 201st player to reach 10 million in career earnings.
I don't think that'll be too long.
I agree.
he will pass that pretty quickly, I think.
I agree. This year, I'd imagine. Not that I want to jinx him, but can you like that for me? And you look at it and you go, we're talking about Hovland being a really consistent player. And I'm sure he's on like 6.5, maybe approaching 7. And then you've got Morikawa, same time as a pro. Morikawa's just got 2 bigger scale wins and is 3 million ahead.
Cool.
Meanwhile, I'm sat here figuring out if I can stretch to afford another pair of golf trousers.
Yeah. Can I afford the swing speed sticks, or should I pay my mortgage instead? What should I be doing? Morikawa most likely to be next across that 10 million line. Unbelievable. Anyway, that was my random quiz fact session there. Now, Tim, I know you've got a little section that you want to take us into, a little game of Would You Rathers.
Yep. So normally we would have, we do one of these towards the end of the pod, but I thought, why don't we change it up a bit? We'll do it now. And I'm going to throw
let you know, it might still be near the end of the pod, but so just
things to talk about. I've got 4 this week.
Okay.
I'm going to throw 4 at you, just because I'm really excited about playing golf and just got me thinking about lots of kind of different would you rathers. So the first one back is this is the one I wrote down first because I was quite excited to ask you about this one.
Okay.
So
wait, are you just going to ask and then we're going to talk about it, or is it like rapid fire or whatever?
No, we can talk about it, but don't turn it into an echo.
Okay.
This is your first round back.
Okay.
I want you to picture this. You get to the club, and there's going to be 2 scenarios. First scenario, you get there, you're buzzing to play, clubs have been cleaned, driving range closed. This is your first round back. You've got no warm up, and it says putting green is closed as well. You cannot do anything before you start. But the first tee box, it's clear. There's no one around. You've only got the audience of your four ball that are with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Or you turn up, everything's open, range is open, putting green is open, but you find out you're teeing off before a club competition, and there are 30 people, including the club president, who are watching you on that first tee. Which one are you taking?
Shit. Ooh, I
mean, because you made the first noise, Ben, I'm going to come to you first.
I mean, I wasn't almost inclined to say the first one, just because we are rookies, and that has happened multiple times. Not that things have been closed, but the stuff that you're running late for a tee time and you just tip up and hope for the best that you hit it somewhat straight. But if it's just people watching and I've not got to wait and watch 30 other people tee off, that might change things. I thought you were going to say you've got to wait for however many tee times. And I think I'd back myself to tee off in front of people if I could just get a little practice in. I'd probably go a little bit safe. I'd put the driver back in the bag. I say that now. I probably
you definitely wouldn't. You've got 30 people watching. Because all you're thinking is, how far can I hit this?
Yeah. And absolutely swing off my feet. So, yeah, I think Chris has probably answered it there for me. Actually, I would take number 2 actually, because if you absolutely nuke one straight down the middle of the fairway, you are going to be walking off of there feeling pretty good about yourself.
Okay,
I like it. Can you? Which Ryder Cup was it that Rory turned up to his tee time with 30 seconds to spare, no warm up?
It was Medina, yeah.
And not only was he late with no warm up, he also had the crowd of 30-odd thousand or whatever it was watching and had to do that. So he's kind of had both of your bad scenarios there rolled into one. As soon as you said it, the first one doesn't actually worry me because, as Ben says, we've done it so many times before where we've rocked up late, or not late, but rushing for time, not had a moment to practice. Your expectations are low. Sure, your first one might be a bit crap. What we're focusing on here is the pressure of someone watching or not watching. But I also would quite enjoy 30-odd people watching and having a bit of pressure to do that. Even if it went shit, it's just a bit of banter, isn't it? Like, and you get the cheers and you get the laughs. So I'm going to take the people watching. So I think it could be a good laugh.
Okay, good. Unanimous. I like it. Okay, second one. This comes down to your how your round, the composition, if you like, of your round. So you can either hit all 18 greens in regulation, 3 putts on every green.
Okay.
Or you can miss all greens in regulation. However, on the first hole, you're going to hit a wedge with 2 putts to make a bogey. And on the last hole, you're going to hit 1 wedge and 1 putt to make par.
You're making me do maths here.
Basically, the net outcome is the same.
Net outcome is the same.
The net outcome is the same in terms of scoring.
But it's just how I feel about
that. I think the net outcome will be the same.
Okay. I mean, the first one as well. If you are hitting on every green in regulation, they're all going to be pretty good shots, and you're not going to play on massive greens every time. So if you're hitting every green in regulation and you've taken a few wedges in and you're taking 3 putts on every single hole, that's going to get mighty frustrating. So I am definitely going to opt for number 2 on that one, because I would back myself to hit at least a few close. That 3 putts should really be out of the equation, even though putting is the weakest part of my game. So yeah, I would rather be a little less accurate hitting into the green, but better on the green, I think. Yeah,
I will absolutely mirror that. I think from a going into my next round mental state, 3 putting at the best of times is irritating. Doing it 18 times in a row, putter would be close to being snapped.
That's going to wreak havoc in your putting stats.
I couldn't mentally deal with that, I don't think. Whereas what I can deal with is, that was a bit of a shit approach. Okay, chip on, putt, 2 putt, whatever. Okay, I'm better able to deal with that than 3 putting every hole. That would kill me. So yeah, I'm going with the option of not 3 putting.
Okay, fine. And then I've got 2 more, and I think, to be fair, the answers I think on these 2 are actually pretty obvious. So they're not the best would you rather's. But I'm still intrigued to see if anyone goes a bit south on this and gets it wrong. So first one, we'll play two. The first league series, you're going to play 2 rounds. Okay. You can shoot 2 rounds, both of 34 points. Okay. 2 good rounds.
Yeah.
Or first day, you can shoot a 42-point round. This is obviously on Stableford, followed by a 26-point round. Would you rather have 2 good, solid rounds, or would you rather have 1 exceptional rounds the one day and a bit of a disappointing round the next day?
Are we in a competition? Is it a 2-day comp? Or is it just a random trip?
Regardless of no, it's not a competition. It's on a weekend away with the golf group.
But no comp, just playing golf.
Sure.
Oh, come on. There's always competition. If it's me and you involved, there's always, I personally, I am in the camp of the first one. I would rather shoot 2 34s. Although the 42 would be brilliant, I just feel like that would set the bar incredibly high, which ultimately led to me shooting 26. And then, knowing me, I'd probably sulk pretty badly on that. I'm massively in the camp of I'd rather, if I'm going to lose, I want to lose to someone who's playing outstanding golf. And if I lose scoring 34 points both days, then fair play, I'll give you a pat on the back. But if I lose because I've shot 26, then I will probably cry.
Just throwing it out there, Ben. If you've hit 42 points, you've broken 80.
Yeah.
So let's say we're playing like a course that posh course, we're not going to often play. You're saying you'd rather not break 80 on that course.
Oh, yeah. That is tough.
Imagine it was Wentworth and Sunningdale, and on your option is you could have broken 80 on one of those courses, and you're saying no.
This is why I wanted to ask the question.
Oh God, that's hard.
I could, for that reason, if it was me, I'm not sure 42 points allows me to break 80. I think it does. 42 points, that allows me to break 80. And on a nice course that we wouldn't normally play, I'll break 80. General weekend, just 2 rounds, I'd take the 34-34, but if we're playing nice courses, I want to say that I've broken 80 on course X.
Okay, yeah, I quite like that logical head. But we don't play nice courses, so I'm going to go 34-34.
Lovely.
Fine.
That one couldn't have gone better than I thought. Final one. This is how people think of you. Okay, this is the rumor mill or how people picture you in their heads. So, would you rather be known as an excellent ball striker, but you can't break 80? Or would you rather people think you're a bit of a duffer, inconsistent striker, but you never go over 90?
Well, option 1 is Ben.
I would take. I think I would take 1. Yeah,
It was excellent ball striker, can't break 80, or bit of a duffer, never goes above 90.
You might go below 80, but be a duffer.
I think I'm taking the first one. Yeah, I am taking 1. I think it's somewhat a state of my game at the moment. Ball striking's pretty good. Everything else pretty pants and can't break 80.
I think, I'd take that as well, because I think golf is very enjoyable in the 80s. So if I'm hitting the ball really well, that's a good feeling. If I'm consistently in the 80s, I'm loving life, to be honest. So yeah, that's good. Nice.
Lovely. I mean, to be honest, there was more thought that went into that than I was expecting. Exactly. It was a lovely surprise. So well done. As ever, you've surpassed my expectations.
Love that Ben doesn't want to break 80 on nice courses. Unbelievable. Did not expect that.
He's given up already.
We moved on. We moved on, Chris. We put that one to bed. Sorry, pal.
Unbelievably, we're under an hour. And I've got nothing left on my notes here to talk about. Is there anything that you guys would like to dive into just to take us an extra 5 or 6 minutes and just drag us out over that hour? Because I feel rude not to. If not,
There was one thing.
Oh,
I was wondering. And I was really umming and ahhing whether I was going to put this out there. But
is this the point where we should say that we will edit this out if it's rubbish and you won't hear it?
It's more the case of setting ourselves up for a fall, to be brutally honest.
Okay.
And what I was going to say is, so our first round back, as we mentioned, may well end up being the 9th of April.
Yeah.
Certainly the first round back where it's going to be all three of us. Touch wood.
Yeah.
Do we want to go as far to say what in Stableford points we think we might shoot on that first round back?
Oh. As in a goal, or as in just predicting what we think we're going to get?
Okay, let's put it this. Let's flip it around a little. Let's do a little bit differently. What Stableford score would you be happy to go above on your first round back? Let's do it that way. As in, if you are you saying that anything north of 28, you're going to be happy with on Stableford points? Anything
north of 28, okay. But for me, 30 is always that point. So even on first round back, anything 30 or above, anything with a 3 in front of it, and I'm really happy. Playing a course, although I think we're going to be playing a course that I've only played once before, which possibly doesn't bode well, or possibly just makes me go, you know what, just no expectations whatsoever and actually do quite well. So yeah, I would be anything over 28. Okay, 30 buzzing.
Yeah, I mean, I would typically, the 32 is my number that I always am like, if I shoot less than that, I don't really see any reason to change it. I mean, why not? Set the sights high.
Okay. So you're setting yourself a little bit higher. Interesting.
I would be irritated with a 20. I'm always irritated with a 26, but I would still be, even though knowing that we haven't played for a long time, I'd still be irritated with anything less than 28.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm not saying this is going to happen at all, but what I'm saying is I'm with you, Chris. General rule of thumb with me is anything 30 and above is a good return for 4 hours out on the golf course. Probably anything north of 28, I'll take, given the circumstances. Anything over 30, I will be pleased with.
Anything over 30, and you're just thinking that is a good solid foundation for the season.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh God, we put it out there. Now we're going to have to review how we go.
What did you guys do? 24, 21, and 19 points. It was
17 points on the board.
God, it's got every potential as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Of course it does. And we'll just walk off. Victor Hovland smile. Everything's going to be okay. Yeah. No putters snapped. Done. I like that. Thinking about that, Tim, I feel like we'll be coming back to that over the course of the next few weeks. Yeah. Panicking now, getting more nervous now. Yeah, panicking now. So looking forward to that. Everyone else, by the way, go if you haven't already thought about what your answers to Tim's would you rathers would be. I might put them on the YouTube video. I might put them in the first comment. I want to know your answers. So if you're not watching this on YouTube, head on over there. I want to see your answers to those would you rathers. I'll put the questions in the first comments to remind you. I want to see those. I want to see those answers. See if you are on my wavelength there, or Ben, were we the same? Most of our answers there. Did we match up all our answers? I think we did.
All but one.
All but one. Awesome. In that case, chaps, that brings us to the end of this week's show. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Chaps, thank you for joining me here, as always. And we will catch you guys next week.
See you later.
See you next time.